Who's the biggest threat to the Eagles in the NFC, you think? I would probably label it down to the Cowboys and the 49ers and the Vikings. Whoever wants to take it first can go. Go, Russ. You go, Russ, first.
It's Dallas. It has
Really?
to be Dallas. Yeah. I think so.
I
I'm not sold on what Minnesota is yet. I don't really fear Minnesota. The Niners, if you had to play if the bottom fell out for the Eagles and you had to go on the road to play the Niners, I might fear the Niners a bit. But I think it's Dallas. I just do. You have the division element of it. By the time you hit the postseason, like, are you talking about on the way to getting the number 1 seed, or if you run into them in the
NFC
playoffs?
Championship game?
Yeah, like I would still be worried because you've played 2 games against Dallas, right? Like, there's always that weird thing that, like, anything can happen in a divisional game, and the teams in your division know you the absolute best. So, like, I think that's it. There's like an inherent added pressure because it's your biggest rival. Like, you've got all that going for you. I think that's probably the toughest one.
What do you think, Kev?
Probably Dallas, because they still have to play the entire AFC South. They still get the Texans and the Jags, and if they get by the Giants, then they're what, 7 or
they're 7-3 now.
8-3. Then they go to 8-3. You figure they'll probably beat Indy, Jacksonville, Houston. I mean, they could very easily get to 12 wins, which is why I think when you say 13 for the Eagles, I think that's probably right.
Yeah, there's some stat out there that I think the last 10 playoff teams who have gotten the number 1 seed have had 13 or more wins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. San Fran is like 6-4.
I'm most scared of the 49ers.
Niners.
Let me read you off some stats. I did some digging. Here's the numbers since they got Christian McCaffrey over the last 3 games. And this is how they'd stack up against the league if it was an 11-game sample size. So points per game, 25.3. If that was over an 11-game sample size, that'd be 6th in the league. Total yards per game, 399. That'd be 3rd in the league. Passing yards, 276, 4th in the league. Rushing yards per game, 123, 13th in the league right now. So, and then there's this guy who works at Circus Sports. He does sportsbook operations there. So is he big? I don't know, but he did say this. The 49ers played Dallas and they played the Eagles on a neutral site. They'd be favored right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know the Niners are a different team now than they were at the first half of the year, but their best win is over, I guess, the Chargers. They beat the brakes off the Cardinals, but I mean, Seattle, they beat Geno Smith in Seattle, who are kind of punching above their weight too. I don't know. I just don't. I haven't. I'm looking for something signature from them. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I just don't think you can look at this 49ers team from the first 8 games. I think you just look at them from Christian McCaffrey and on. I mean, they have and listen, they don't have a really tough opponent for the rest of the season. They have Saints next week, Dolphins 2 weeks from now. Yeah. But people are still the same way with the Dolphins. Are the Dolphins punching up? There's then they have the Buccaneers, who I don't necessarily believe in. They have the Seahawks again, the Commies, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. We're looking at a potentially 13-win San Francisco team when it's all said and done.
You're fair to point out that maybe you should evaluate the team based on what they are with McCaffrey. But if there's one thing we've learned about him over his career, it's that he inevitably will get hurt. And they're there's a chance he misses 3 or 4 of those games. There's also a chance that he's not available for a playoff game. So I'm not exactly sold on the idea of him maintaining perfect health throughout that stretch. Yeah. Is the team still good enough to pick up wins? Probably. I don't necessarily consider them to be a legit threat if they come to Philly for the NFC Championship.
You talk to me when the 49ers are the 2nd seed at the end of the year.
I do think the Eagles probably have the hardest schedule out of that group of teams that we're talking about, though, right? I mean, because Minnesota still has to play the Bears and in their division, Bears and Packers. They get the Giants at home, but then they get the Lions. They play the Patriots. They play the Patriots and the Jets, I think, in back-to-back weeks. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. I'll tell you this. I don't believe in the Giants. I think the Giants have finally run out of steam. The Vikings, I don't really know if they're they proved that they're a pretender last week, right? So it's so that leaves. I mean, it's process of elimination here, is it not? At least with the Cowboys and the Niners, and they
It's
both have
definitely the
really good
Cowboys and the Niners. Because I agree 100% with you. I think the Vikings are frauds. Like everyone looked at that Bills game last week, and it's just like they were missing 4 of their key secondary guys. They forget that Kirk Cousins didn't get into the end zone, and if Josh Allen doesn't fumble in the end zone, that's a loss. And Buffalo's sitting at 8-2, and the Vikings are sitting at 8-3 right now, with us having the tiebreaker. I'm mostly worried about the 49ers, and I think it's because I don't know who the Cowboys are. Like, they can score. Their defense is awesome. Tyron Smith's coming back, but like they don't stop the run that well. They lose with a 14-point lead in Lambeau 2 weeks ago. Like, I can't ever believe in Mike McCarthy, and I just feel like they when they're good, they always just start smelling themselves. Like, nobody wants to say they're a Super Bowl contender, and then you have Jerry Jones after the game being like, "Yeah, we're a Super Bowl contender. Maybe we should address these concerns at wide receiver and go get OBJ and stuff." And it's just like this. I feel like they just shoot themselves in the foot, and it's because they're just, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit because of Jerry Jones. Maybe it's a little because they've never really had a coach that you ever believe in.
Like
if they had Sean Payton, Dallas, I would.
Yeah.
I would say,
I like the 5 or 6 times I've watched Dallas this year. It seems like their highs are really high, but their lows are really low too. I think there's just more variation between like what they can be in any given week or any given half of football, whereas I think some of those other teams are a little more play kind of closer to their mean. You know what I mean? Like Dallas, I think if Dallas is firing on all cylinders, like I think that they beat anybody in the league. I mean, I know it's not a profound thing to say, but like I think that their ceiling is much higher than other teams' ceilings. Like I really do believe that.
Do you think they have a higher ceiling than the Eagles?
On the offensive side for sure.
Do you think they have a higher ceiling than the Eagles?
Just barely.